to let them know what happened during the tete-a-tete. They are all yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. In my country, South Africa, when it rains and there's a visitor, it is always said that the visitor has brought great luck. So we brought great luck to Nigeria. President Buhari and ministers and colleagues and journalists, it's a real pleasure to have this opportunity to tell you a few things that President Buhari and our other colleagues discussed. For me, this is a real honor to have been received in the way that we have here in Abuja in Nigeria. Since I took office, this is the first visit that I'm undertaking beyond the borders of the SADC countries in our region, in the southern part of our continent. It is an important visit for us. The other visits I undertook were to the G7 and the Commonwealth, but in the form of country to country, we decided that the very first visit that I should pay as head of state of South Africa should be to Nigeria, and that this should send a clear signal that our government intends to pursue an Africa-focused foreign policy, but in pursuing that Africa-focused policy, we would like to deepen our relationship with Nigeria, seeing that Nigeria is the most populous country on the whole continent, whose economy is the largest on our continent. It is important that South Africa and Nigeria should develop and deepen the relationships between the two countries. Deepen them at a people-to-people level, but also at an economic level, and of course underpinned by good political relations between the two countries. At an economic level, our various companies from South Africa are already doing business here, and in a number of ways they are diplomats of our country. At a political level, we took time during our discussions to thank the people of Nigeria, which I now do as well, and to thank the leadership of Nigeria over the many years for the support that they gave to our struggle. Today we are a free and independent country, and this is largely due to the support that we got from a number of countries around the world, but more especially on the African continent. Nigeria, which is 6 hours away from South Africa, was proudly regarded as a frontline state. Frontline state because it was really at the front line of our titanic struggle against apartheid. And Nigeria, and indeed Nigerians, never flinched for 1 minute in supporting our struggle. And in fact, Nigerians even took it a little further. President Buhari and I were talking about this, and he related that, yes, Nigerians through their households also contributed money into the African Organization Union, OAU fund, to support the struggle against apartheid. So I took time to thank President Buhari and the people of Nigeria for the support that we received during our struggle. We also had time, of course, to reconfirm that we do want to deepen the relations between the two countries, and to this end, we are going to focus on the binational commission that was set up between our two countries and make sure that the place where it is elevated to the president's level is where the real action should happen. We will expect our officials who will do the technical part of a number of things, and our ministers to work on the various areas where we need to deepen our cooperation through agreements, and that when President Buhari and I meet, we will then be able to either sign off or to ensure that implementation happens. In this regard, we would like to have our next bi-national commission in South Africa. I've invited President Buhari to come for a state visit later this year, when our bi-national commission will then take place. We also exchanged views on a number of important economic matters, particularly with regard to the oil industry and how South Africa can be part of this whole process. We also exchanged views on trade, on how to deepen trade between our two countries, and a number of other areas. So all in all, we had a wonderful exchange, and we both got a sense that we are now opening a new page in the relationship between South Africa and Nigeria, and this new page gives us the opportunity to go beyond where we've been before and find a number of areas where we can reach agreement, and in this regard make sure that the benefit that should accrue to our people is actually bountiful, particularly in view of the opening up of the African continent through the free trade agreement, when we will be able to ensure that our economies grow by leaps and bounds. So a new page has been opened, and we are delighted that as the two presidents of our countries and our ministers and our officials, we are at the right place at the right time to extend the relationship between Nigeria and South Africa to a higher level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa. The first question will come from Felix Onua of Reuters News Agency.
Your Excellency, the President of South Africa, my name is Felix Onua. I write for Reuters World News Agency. It's good to hear from you that your government would like to focus on having a good relationship with African countries, and the importance you stress about Nigeria. In that vein, I would like to know what your government would do specifically to stop the frequent killings of Nigerians in your country.
Well, thank you very much. There have been quite a number of incidents in our country where foreign nationals, and some of whom are Nigerians, have lost their lives and have been attacked. And I'd like to say here and now that that has been as a result of criminal activity. Criminal activity amongst our own people, which we are focusing on from a criminal element point of view. I want to state here and now that South Africans do not have any form of negative disposition or hatred towards the Nigerians. And in the main, Nigerians and South Africa and a number of places of our country live side by side. They cooperate very well, and some are in the corporate structures of our various companies, and some are traders, and some do a whole number of things. So I want to dispel this notion that when a Nigerian loses his or her life in South Africa, it is as a result of an intentional sort of action by South Africans against Nigerians. That is simply not true. You will know that South Africa has a number of challenges. One of the challenges is criminality, and which is all pervasive. We have over a number of years been bringing down the levels of crime in our country, and we are working on a concerted basis to ensure that crime does come down. And the criminality that we have is born out of a number of factors. One of those is unemployment amongst a number of our people. 27% of South Africans are unemployed, which amount to about 9 million, and most of these are young people. Poverty is still all-pervasive in South Africa, and this emanates from our very sad history of apartheid misrule. There is still inequality in South Africa. A few people are extremely rich, and the majority of our people are very poor. And all these factors and others, there are many other social factors that have contributed to the high levels of crime. And criminality is something that, as I said, we're focusing on. We're doing everything to bring it down. And in the course of everything else, yes, people in various parts of the country do get engulfed in acts of criminality. The majority of them are South Africans, and some of them will then be foreign nationals, and they will either be Nigerians or other people from other countries. Now, these are acts of criminality. Now, I want to end by saying that, when we were involved in our struggle, we said the South Africa that we are fighting for is a South Africa which will regard everyone who lives in South Africa on the basis of equality, respect for human rights, and we said that South Africa belongs to all the people who live in it. So the Nigerians who are in South Africa are also part of our community. They can never be targeted on an intentional basis as people who must either be attacked or killed. When that happens, I'd like all of us to see that as acts of criminality, which in the main affects many South Africans in various parts of our country. So see it in that regard, and I'd like that you should never think that it is being done against Nigerians intentionally. It is acts of criminality, and our government is determined to bring down the levels of criminality down, and also to go after those who perpetrate these acts of criminality, so that anyone who attacks any person in South Africa will be pursued with the might of the law to make sure that they are brought to justice and to book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The second and last question will come from Mashashi. She works with News 24, and she's also the head of South African editors.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. My question is to President Buhari. Has President Ramaphosa convinced Nigerians to sign off on the Africa Trade Agreement? Do you actually have a deadline of when we would see South Africa's biggest economy sign on? And are there any deals that we can expect from the two countries in terms of strengthening economic ties, given that at the moment trade is in favor of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. I'm very careful about what I sign, whether it is my checkbook or agreements, especially when it involves a nation state. As your president has said, we are so populated and we have so many young unemployed citizens, and our industries are just coming up. So in trying to guarantee employment and goods and services to our country, we have to be careful with agreements that will compete, maybe successfully, against our own upcoming industries. I was presented with the document, which I I'm a very slow reader, maybe because I was an ex-soldier. I didn't read it fast enough. Before my official saw that it was all right for signature, I kept it on my table. I will soon sign it. Thank you very much.
This brings us to the end of the press interaction. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
What a good answer.
Well,